I was at the grocery store about a week ago, and I'm checking out, and the guy who's there, he's, I don't know, young guy, high school, college, something in between there. He looks at me and he goes, so are you having a baby? Yep. I hope so. And that's what I said. I said, yeah, well, I hope so. Smiling, thinking that was a cute answer, and nice, thinking that was just the stupidest question you could ask somebody. Granted, I understand that you have to be careful when you're asking a woman if she's pregnant or not. But I couldn't believe that he was asking me that. He's like, and so I said, yeah, I hope so. He looks at me completely serious, and he goes, you mean you don't know? And I just thought, our education system is just failing the youth of today. And I go, yeah, no, I know. I'm pregnant. So anyway, so how are you doing? How was Mass? Is it good? You better nod, because your youth ministers are watching. All right, so this is, I'm kind of new to the Steubenville crowd. I've been a part of Steubenville's and their summer conferences for about 3 years, so I'm getting the hang of it. But my very, very first one, and if this is your first conference, you might relate to this, because I was born and raised Catholic, very, very quickly. Let me just give you that one. Born and raised Catholic, fell away from my Catholic faith by choice, I think, mostly. When I was about 15 or so, I was in high school, made some choices, did some stuff, really didn't believe I was worthy for, this stuff, and I love God. I'd never, wanted to say that I didn't believe in God or I didn't love God, but at the same time, I was so focused in on my pain and junk and brokenness that I didn't want to dive further in it, even if it meant reconciliation, because it just was too hard for me. So anyway, I kind of led this life a little bit further away from my faith, Catholic by name only, type of a thing. So I never went to these types of conferences whatsoever. I was a part of my church in terms of I went every Sunday with my parents and stuff, but that was about the extent. Once college happened, I definitely trailed off completely, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not very familiar with this whole crowd. I wasn't, at least at your age. So in my first Steubenville conference that I did 3 years ago, I was so excited. I couldn't believe that I saw all these awesome young people getting together and praying and singing, and you're not too weird. And that was awesome, because I'm super weird. And I'm not just trying to show off, dude, I'm weird. And so I just was really excited to be around other people that were not as bad as me. So they were praying and they were happy and everything, but there was just one point when the priest is up here doing something, and he was praying, or maybe it was the MC praying, and I don't know, maybe this was even any, I can't remember, but somebody's doing something that was really quiet and everyone's serious and doing the prayer face. Yeah, Jesus, that type of a face, which kind of freaked me out at first. I'm like, oh my God, what should I do? But then all of a sudden I see these hands during the prayer time, and they're going up. Oh! And I'm like, this is the honest to God question. I'm off to the side with the team, and I'm like, dude, why does everybody have a question at the same time? Everybody's trying to ask Jesus a question. You don't need to raise your hand. He's got it. So I didn't get the whole praise, and that's a one way to do it. You could double fist it, all the way up. You can jazz hands it. Anyways, there's lots of different types of way to pray. So it's new for me. My baby will be very into the Steubenvilles now. Carried this baby through 3 of them this summer. Pretty excited about that. I am due soon, not tomorrow, just the day after. But we're okay. We're all right. I have a stool in case I go into labor. It'll help me brace myself. Wouldn't that be great if this was the first Stubby baby on stage? No, do not clap. It's not funny. No, seriously, stop clapping. Because you're making me nervous now. It's that moment when you realize, oh my God, I gotta do that. I don't just carry it, I gotta get it out. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna do that, you know? It's kind of like, in a very weird way, far distant analogy, all the junk you got in you, because you got junk. You got lots of junk. You're broken. You're totally broken. You're not perfect. Shocker, right? Spoiler alert. None of us are. We have all this stuff, and we sometimes just stuff it in us. And if you stuffed all of your junk in you and didn't let it out and get it out and have Christ help you with that, you would look really similar to me, but you wouldn't have a baby. It's like sometimes we do that, though. We just stuff all this stuff in, right? I know that's what I did for years. Oh, yeah, I screwed up here, screwed up there, was in this bad relationship, after that bad relationship, did things on the weekends that were not good or legal. I mean, there's all this stuff going on that I did, and I'm not proud of. I mean, it is what it is. It's the truth. I did some pretty bad stuff, but I just stuffed it in and in and in. And I would think about church, think about the praise and worship people, and I just thought, nah, I'm good. I mean, I know I need to deal with it, but I just don't want to deal with it now or whatever. So Annie had mentioned I was on America's Next Top Model. I was. And I was on cycle 3, and I did that. And I felt, this was so great because this conference is perfect for what I'm about to say, but I felt super chosen by Tyra, you know? Yeah, Tyra Banks chose me. That's right, she chose me. And I was excited about that. I stood in line with all these other stinky girls, and we waited to be seen, and we were just dying to be chosen. All of us were. Hundreds of thousands all over the U.S. And we stood in line, and we got to that point of where you have to be in front of the judges in the very, very beginning, the first time you audition, and they're asking you all these questions. And of course, everybody's just behind the table in a dark lit room, and you've got the huge spotlight on you, and they're asking you 1,000,001 things of what you do, what you think about this, what are your biggest fears, do we have the rights to your firstborn child, things like that. And so it felt really exciting, the point I'm trying to make. It felt really, really exciting to be there, to be waiting in line. And then you go in, and you're in front of everybody, and there's Tyra, and there's these other people that are crazy, that dress in weird clothes, and everything going on, and you're going to prove yourself. You pick me. I'm going to be the next top model, or I'm going to be whatever it is, whatever show that you auditioned for, right? I was so excited about this. And then I got chosen, and I was on. And it was like, yes. And then there's that moment where I was totally booted off and eliminated, and I'm like, no, I wasn't chosen anymore. They don't want me. I'm not loved. It sounds silly, but you do. I mean, you're on national television. It's really, really scary, and it's nothing like what you think it is. It's not at all like what's on TV. So what you watch on TV is nowhere near the reality of reality TV. Reality TV presents you with a fantasy, and we buy into it, don't we? I know I did. I was on the show. Clearly I did. We buy into that fantasy. My life can be that great, that amazing. I can be that beautiful. I can be that loved. I can make money. I can be famous. I can do whatever I want, and then I'll do some really good stuff with that money. I'll give it to charity, right? That's what we tell ourselves, at least. I'll do really good things with that place that I'll be once I get there. But until I get there, I'm going to do everything I can to get there. So I got to that point. Clearly was on. I was eliminated. And for me, I decided I would still pursue modeling, and I would still do that. So I moved to New York and began a career as a professional model. And I did. Just random jobs here and there, did a few runways, did a few commercial work, stuff like that. But there got to this one point where I had this opportunity. And this magazine contacted me, and they said, hey, listen, we saw you on Top Model, and thought you're really cute, you're really great, you got this girl next door look. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Tell me more. You know, I was so vain. I mean, and I know I've alluded to this, but my moral compass is not pointing due north. All right, so my state of life at this point was rough at best. It was just really, really bad, actually. I mean, if I have to be honest with you, and I don't say it to make the story good or more dramatic. I wish I could tell you I was only doing a few bad things, but it was a huge variety of ways that I hurt myself, ways that I hurt others, how I thought of myself, how I valued myself, how I didn't value myself, how I didn't value anybody else. I sure as heck didn't care about you. I didn't care about if you loved God. I didn't care about what you did with your life. I just cared about me. And as vain as it sounds, all I wanted to do was to get the big jobs, to be well known, to be famous, to make a lot of money, to be beautiful, and to have everybody else tell me I was beautiful. And to prove that by getting the bigger jobs, by having my face on the billboards in Times Square, and on the side of the taxi cabs, and in the magazines, and the big designers to know me, and to call me and say, hey, Leah, we want you. You see, I wanted so badly to be chosen by the world. And I put all my eggs in that basket. So I get this phone call from this international magazine. And they're like, hey, listen, you know, we heard you, we saw you and everything like that. We want to help you out. So we want to bring you in and do this shoot. And this shoot's going to be very different than you've ever done before. And it's really going to help your career. It's going to just skyrocket you. It's obviously an international magazine, so it's going to be all over the world. And we can help you get to that next level. And I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need, you know. I've been doing some national stuff in New York, doing the runways and things like that, but now it's international. And now I can take my image, I can take myself, my body, and I can put it out to the world, and then the world will be able to know me and then choose me, and then it'll just get better and better, right? So I was ready for it, completely ready for it. So I go in, I agree to do the shoot, and I get to this point where they have all these different outfits for me to choose from. I wasn't very comfortable picking out any of the outfits, but I ended up deciding on one. Anyway, put it on, I start modeling. And this is the point here that I never thought God would really enter into my life. I mean, yeah, God might come in here, right, at a Steubenville conference, sure. God will be there at church, sure, that's kind of like his thing. God comes to certain places, right? And it just makes sense. Oh, yeah, I felt God there, you know? But would God really show up at a fashion photo shoot for an international magazine in New York City? Nope. Dude, that's where the sinners are. That's like the messy people. The people at that shoot, me included, we're messed up. We're totally messed up. Our priorities are definitely not right. You know, hearing Father's homily today, it made me think about a lot of things like, what do you do with your time? Let me tell you something, what I do with my time. My time back then was spent 100% on me. 100% on me. Everything was about me. Everything. I was completely consumed with me. How I looked, how I acted, how I was perceived by others. Everything I did, every party I went to, every outfit that I put on, it was for a reason. Because I wanted to be noticed and I wanted to be chosen by the world. So I get to this shoot, you know, and I'm there. And I could not believe, like I said, that God would actually show up. But this is the moment for me where God really did something and he changed it. And I just can only think that he had tried so many times before. And I just wouldn't listen. But here is that moment where, praise God, I did. So I'm sitting there, I'm in the shoot, and I'm all like jazzed up in the hair and makeup and 20 pounds of like Aquanet hairspray all over me. Like, do not smoke around me. I will like light up into flames. I just realized you probably don't even know what Aquanet is. That's cool. It's hairspray. Yep, there's the age gap. All right, here we go. So, I'm all done up. I look just right for what they want me to do, okay? And it looks like everything that makes us happy. The world has that equation for happiness. I was their like billboard for it. Yes, you look like this. You make this amount of money. My paychecks finally had a comma in them. Super excited. This is what it is. I'm a fashion model. I'm in New York City. I'm doing, shoots for International Magazine. Come on, does it get better? Really? Yeah, it does. So I was there, and the photographer was out in front of me and taking these pictures one after the other. And at this one moment, as he's taking these pictures, the flash just comes across my face. It was as if I looked right into it. And I remember like just turning off to the side and needing to blink to just regain my focus. And as I pull back around, I ended up seeing this picture and this image in my head. I just think God used my imagination in this way to help me understand something and see it. But as I'm blinking and as I'm trying to regain my focus, I see myself wearing the immodest outfit that I was wearing. Those things didn't matter to me. Doesn't matter what I wear. You live your life, I live my life. You leave me alone. You keep your Jesus over there. I'll keep my Jesus and whatever I think of him way over here. So I saw myself and I was wearing this immodest outfit in my head. And everything around me was just white. I was just blinking. I kind of just thought that was part of the flash. And as that's going on, I saw myself and I had my hands cupped together at my waist. And I noticed this was a little different. I had them like just right there. And then I saw my hands just raised all the way up. And as I had them all the way up, I did see out and up above me this shadowy profile of a man's face. No marks, no distinctions, just I could tell it was a man's face. And he had looked down at my hands of what I was offering. And then he bowed his head as if he was disappointed. So I bring my hands right back down and I just figure out, like, what is this? What is so disappointing? And I looked down and I saw exactly what was so disappointing. In my hands, right down there, they were completely empty. There's nothing in them. And this like little picture, this little thing that's going on inside of my head is lasting not more than a minute. But I knew it was like something was piercing my heart deeper than I had ever experienced in my life. You see, I knew that in a way that was somehow God's way to communicate with me that everything I had, everything that God had given me, all of my talents, all of my gifts, I wasted them all on me, and I had nothing to offer him, nothing to offer the world, nothing. Everything was wasted on me, everything. And to be honest with you, I wasn't shocked. I knew that was the case. My whole life was spent on me. And I'll tell you something, it's exhausting. When you make yourself number one, you will be exhausted, you will be unhappy, you will be unfulfilled. Because you are a lot of work, because you are broken. We are broken. And we can't deal with our junk appropriately. We can't deal with our brokenness the right way. So what do? We keep stuffing it and stuffing it. You see, I allowed the world to be everything for me. And in a sense, in me doing that, I was putting myself in a tomb. I was putting myself in a place where I didn't even know that I was dying. Sin is death. Jesus is life. And I was putting myself in these tombs over and over and over. The tombs of so many different things. The tombs of impure relationships, the tombs of immodest dress, the tombs of constantly being focusing on the world and the magazines and the fashion and everything like that, so much to the point that it goes over any other priority I have in life to love and to serve God, which originally at one point I had that in my heart. And so I get to that point and I didn't know what else to do. So the photographer was snapping his fingers, Leah, 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 focus, focus, focus. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, and I don't know about you. For me, you might think that's a great spiritual moment that I had. Or maybe you just think it's a bad ham sandwich. But I knew that there was something there. So as the photographer is trying to get me to focus back in, I just ended up saying, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. And he thinks that I'm just one of those girls who's having, second thoughts about the work. No, come on, Leah, you can do it, you can do it. And I said, no, I'm done. I can't. So I get up and I leave, take off their clothes, put on mine, walk all the way down Fifth Avenue, just crazy, I'm crying, and I've got all this mascara dripping all down my face, and, look like a normal New Yorker, right? Just kidding. But I finally get back home, and what do? In that moment that I had when I realized, what are you doing, Leah? What are you doing? You have so many gifts and talents, and you know it. You see, God chose me. Tyra Banks didn't choose me. Jesus Christ chose me. Jesus Christ chose me long before I was a model. He doesn't care. Jesus Christ chose me when I was a little girl. Jesus Christ chose me when I was just a baby. The moment of conception, he's like, you are mine. You are mine. As much as he's chosen this little baby right here, the moment of conception, this little boy, this little girl, hopefully there's just one in there, banking on it. Either way, Jesus said, hey, you're mine. I choose you. You see, Jesus says that today to you. You're mine. I choose you. I choose you. Don't you get it? Yeah, I know that they want you. I know the world wants you, but I choose you. That's what Jesus says to us. I choose you. So when I got back home, I walked all the way down, like I said, all the way down Fifth Avenue, got back home, and I came to this realization of oh my gosh, I have been allowing myself to be chosen by so many people, celebrities or the world or whatever it was, and I liked it because I clearly had a void and I had brokenness where I felt that I needed to be chosen and I needed to be loved, and I was going to allow the world to fill that in me. It doesn't work, but I was going to allow that. And so I get to that point where I do the only thing a girl can do after I get home. I call my dad, right? And I called him and I just said, Dad, if you don't come and get me, I'm going to lose my soul. Which is a pretty heavy statement. So there was a little bit of a pause. And then Dad just said, all right, baby, I'm coming to get you. My daddy drove over 2,000 miles, and he came and he picked me up. In that story, I want you to think about your father. I want you to think about how he's going to come and get you. Now, I know for some of you that you're thinking about your dad, and you're like, no, man, he's not going to come and get me. I don't even know my dad. He left. And I'm sorry, but I'm talking about God the Father. You think about him. You think about all you got to do is call on him. All you got to do is say his name. I need you. God, I need you. Come and get me. I'm broken. And he's like, all right, I'm coming to get you. He's going to get in his God-mobile and get on down. And he does a lot more for you. God says, you know what? I'm going to come get you. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you my only begotten son. He's going to fix it. You just got to let him. You got to get all that junk out of you, you know? There's a story. There's a lot of stories in this book, but there's a story in here of Lazarus. I'm sure you're familiar with it. There's only a couple points I wanted to bring out and I wanted to share with you because I was thinking about this and thinking about a little bit of my life, and I'm like, oh man, this makes total sense, right? Now, Lazarus was a really cool dude and a good dude. Really good. Really, really good. Like, holy, holy man. But as all holy men and sinful men, they die. So he's dead, okay? And in this, as we all know, that Jesus raises him from the dead. We all know the story of Lazarus. And they put him in a tomb. And I was thinking about my life and how, like, I was spiritually dying. And I was putting myself in these tombs constantly in the world. And so in this, in the Gospel of John, there's a few parts in here that really hit me. The first one is when it says right here, Jesus wept. I mean, we have to remember that Jesus is not just Jesus, like those pretty icons and everything up here. Jesus is a person. He's a person. He's the God-man. And he wept. He loved Lazarus, and he wept. And he weeps for us, too, in our sins. He weeps for us when we put ourselves in those tombs. He weeps. Look at the cross. Do you not think he's crying? Do you not think he suffers for you? Do you not think that he would do it time and time again if it was needed for you? Of course. Jesus said, "Take away the stone. Did I not tell you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God?" So Jesus comes, he's at the tomb, he cries, and he tells them, to take away the stone. Today, last night we did a lot of talking about being chosen. Today, what are you going to do with that? You're chosen. So now what? Jesus is ready for you. Are you ready for him to take away the stone? Whatever tombs you've put yourself in, whatever tombs you have found yourself in, are you ready for Jesus to take away the stone and to do what he does best, which is love you and redeem you? Are you ready for him to take away the stone and say, "Arise, come out"? He calls Lazarus once again by name, like he did with Zacchaeus, and he tells him, "Come out." It says, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with bandages, and his face wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." We are called to arise. We are called to come out of the tombs that we are in. That's just the bottom line. We're called to arise, and we're called after that to reconcile ourselves. When my dad came and he got to the front step of my door, the first thing he said to me, very first thing, and I am a mess. I mean, like tears, snot, sweat, blech, gross. I couldn't believe where I had been in my life, that I'm at this point where my dad is sitting here and he's rescuing me and he's at the front step of my door and he says, "I am so happy to see you." I just thought, you are crazy. You should not be happy to see me. But he was. He was like, "I am so happy to see you, Leah." And he was so excited to do all these things in New York. "Hey, I want to go to Central Park, and I want to eat this hot dog at Gray's Papaya, and go to Carnegie Deli and eat one of those big Reuben sandwiches." His bucket list is restaurants. That's okay. He's a good man. But he was all excited about all these things to do in New York together. And I'm just here thinking, okay, well, I'm just at the point of spiritual despair, but sure, let's go get a hot dog, Dad. That sounds like a good idea. So we get there, and I'm like getting in the keys and ready to go. Okay, let's just go. Let's just go get our hot dog and take a walk in the park. And he just says, okay, but first we go to confession. My response was this inner turmoil of like a 4-year-old being like, no, please don't, I don't want to do it. I don't want to take back the stone, like leave the stone, leave me in my tomb, and I'll just act like everything's still okay. I just won't do the stuff that I should be doing anymore, My dad looked at me and he said, you know what, Leah, you called. He got all his tough love little dad thing out. You called, Leah Diane. You know you're in trouble when there's 2 names. You called, and you said you wanted to come home. Well, baby, I'm here to take you home, and church is home. Now, you want to go anywhere else, you can call Southwest Airlines. So I had a few choices. I found myself in a church, and I reconciled myself with God for the first time in my life in years. I hadn't been to confession in thank you. I hadn't been to confession in more than, at least 3 years, at least. I don't want to think too much about it, because if I do, I'll probably realize that I went to confession, didn't confess all my sins, hid things, and then that number is going to go up. So it was just a while, years. But I was so petrified over it, so scared about it. But I went there, I knelt down, and I knew I could hear it in the distance. As Jesus said to Lazarus, come out. Jesus is saying, Leah, come out. I was in that tomb, I was just so scared to walk out into the light. When you're in darkness for so long, that light is so bright sometimes. But I knew I could not deny the truth that was the only way that I would receive healing. That all that junk inside that we sometimes stuff, it needed to come out, and I needed to deal with it. Because you know what? I'll tell you something. I am chosen. I am chosen by God, and I am called to do something awesome in this world. And I want to do it. I want to do something great. I want to inspire people. I want to love people. And beyond all that, man, I want to love myself the way God loves me. I want to be able to look at myself the way Jesus looks at me and says, oh, Leah, I love you. You're so great. And I'm like, really? Okay. I'll try to believe that. I want to live my life for Christ. I want to give him everything I have, everything that he's given me. Even if it's the smallest of my things of beauty, I'm going to give it to God then. Because you know what? It's not mine. It's his. I want to give him my heart. I want to give him my hands. I want to give him my feet. I want to give him all of those things. Because he is the one who has chosen me. And he is calling me to arise. He is also calling me to reconcile my life with him. And he is calling me afterwards to mission, to participate in his mission in this world. Later on this afternoon, you'll have an opportunity as well with the Helping Hands. Man, this is your chance for mission. This is your chance to make a difference in one kid's life. And let me tell you something, that kid that you're going to make a difference for is not in Africa. It's you. You will make the difference in your life by the help of Jesus Christ, because you will participate in his mission to love all people. We are called, we are chosen, but there is an action after that chosen now that we have to do. 3-part action. It is to arise, come out of the tomb. Jesus is calling your name. He's coming for you. It is next to reconcile your life. There's a sacrament of reconciliation. Don't be an idiot. Don't go. Don't not go. Seriously, why would we not want his grace? Why would we not want his mercy and his forgiveness? And then the third part is mission, to participate in mission, to arise, to reconcile, to mission. We are called as Christians to this. You are not just chosen, you are chosen to do something beautiful for God. Earlier, yesterday, you heard the voice of a man I love. In the very beginning, you heard the voice of Fulton Sheen. And in the same spirit, I'm going to end with a beautiful quote from him. One that inspires me every day, and it's written in the front of my Bible. It says, "Show me your hands. Do they have scars from giving? Show me your feet. Are they wounded in service? Show me your heart. Have you left a place for divine love?" You are unique and you are unrepeatable. God is calling you to a very, very important and personal and unique mission. To do that mission, you have to know you're chosen. You have to then arise, come out of those black, dark places that we put ourselves in. Because it's okay, we're all broken. Then you got to reconcile. And then you participate. Then you mission. You do the mission. You will change the world. That's not a question of if you'll change the world, you will change the world. We just don't know yet if you'll choose to change the world for good or bad. And you have that choice to choose. Choose the one who's already chosen you. Choose him. He's loved you first. All you got to do is give it back. We are called to that. We are called to greatness. We're called to mission.